Welcome back to our YouTube page, Lending the Pacific Northwest. Thanks for joining. And to stay along the themes of working with a local professional, we invited a guest today, Jayme Mercer, who's a local insurance agent with American Family Insurance in Vancouver. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
How long you've been in business?
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. As Paul said, my name is Jayme Mercer. We have a local American Family Insurance office. Our office was opened 14 years ago. We're located in Vancouver and help clients all around the Portland, Metro, Southwest Washington area.
And I'll tell you, I've known Jayme for over a decade now, and he has just done just a wonderful job for my clients and even for myself. I have my own life insurance through him, and he is, I can't emphasize, how beneficial it is to work with a local agent.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate the kind words.
Absolutely.
What is the benefit of working? So we know the benefit, we've talked about the benefit of working with a local lender. What are the benefits of working with a local insurance agent? What would be the difference versus maybe calling a call center, across the country and, 3-hour difference? Well, so.
That's a great question. That's one that we actually probably don't get very often, but it's very important. The biggest thing that we run into is that because we are here locally in the community, we live here, we work here, we play here, we know what kind of properties are being built in our area. So that means that we know the specific type of insurance coverage and policies that they need. So a lot of times when someone calls an 800 number, they might be located in the Midwest or the back East, and they're not familiar with our type of building and the type of coverage that our clients need. So they will usually, A, they may not be able to insure the property of the home, or B, they may struggle. It may take a lot longer. Meanwhile, while you're trying to close on the home and get your house, it could delay the process and cause little wrenches to be thrown in there.
I think that's the situation we had on this last transaction that we recently closed. I think we had 3 or 4 binders from different insurance agents. And
Right.
Your office was able to come in and save the day because we were calling all of these, the client was calling all these 800 numbers to get coverage, and they were giving the wrong coverage, the wrong binder. I don't know exactly how it worked out, but
I think the biggest problem we had on that one was the fact that we could not even have a contact person.
right.
There was not even one direct person, email address or phone number to even reach to say, this is what we need. We had to convey that to the customer. Then the customer, it's like the game of telephone. You tell the customer what you want, customer's probably not saying exactly what we told them to tell them, and we're getting the same thing back and forth.
Which people aren't buying a house every day, so they don't know what coverage they need.
Right.
But I think that goes back to actually getting somebody on the phone that can help, that is here local. It really makes a difference. And I'd be more concerned if I got a policy through an 800 number. If there is a problem, who am I going to call, and am I going to be waiting on hold for help in case there's an emergency and something happens with my house or car insurance for that matter.
Yeah, which brings me to the next question, which is the advantages of having a local agent after your coverage has been bound, after the person's moved into their home, after they've gotten their new car, what have you, the benefits.
Wow, that is probably the most important thing we could talk about today from my perspective. A lot of people are really concerned about what they do up front and when they're shopping and when they're getting that house, but after they have coverage is probably the most important time to have someone local. So when something comes up and when you need us, when you need to file a claim and you have questions, because a lot of times homeowners just have a question of if it's covered or if they should file a claim. From what we've found in our perspective is when you call an 800 number, that representative is required and files a claim right away. Even if you just have a question of is this covered or not covered, or should I file it, they're required to start a claim on your behalf, which sounds innocent. But what happens and what we found is once the claim is filed, that gets assigned to an adjuster, and the claims adjuster, their job is to let the client know if it's covered, if it's under their deductible or higher than their deductible or not covered. And what we've run into is sometimes the claim might be under someone's deductible. If they have a $1,000 deductible and the damage is only $500, the adjuster lets them know that they need to pay for that out of their own pocket, which is unfortunate news, but it doesn't sound like the end of the world.
Right.
Until what we found is that claim that was filed still counts as a claim on their insurance policy or their insurance history.
Right.
So when you might need to move homes because you've outgrown it and your house and your family is growing, and you go to get a new insurance policy, that claim that you called to ask a question about that wasn't covered is going to impact you, and it might inhibit you from being able to get a new insurance policy for the new house.
Is that why I'm hearing, I know with like all the fires and everything that's going on right now, that I'm seeing, a lot of my friends have reached out and say, hey, our insurance companies are dropping us and we haven't even, used our insurance, but it could be potentially because they filed a claim, but they don't use it, and that's the miscommunication with not knowing if they do file for something and then.
Yes, that's a huge issue of, I would say, misinformation or unknown for homeowners and consumers that aren't in the insurance world, is that even if you file a claim and nothing is paid, the insurance company says it's not covered, or maybe they don't pay anything because it's under your deductible, it's possible that company might not renew your insurance because you now have a claim on your claims history.
Right.
Even though nothing was paid out. They're scared that you're gonna have another one, and so they tell you, sorry, we're not gonna help you and be your company anymore.
Okay, so you being local, you can guide them through that, and talk them through if they need a claim or they don't need a claim, and
Absolutely.
yeah.
That is our number one goal, is to be a resource for education and advice. That's what we're here for, is to be their advocate, to talk them through those situations, what we would do, what we think is best, what we know, before they make that decision of they should or shouldn't file a claim, so that they have all the information up front, they know how they'll be impacted regardless, and maybe do a little more research before they file a claim.
That's huge. That seriously is huge. In essence, you're like a gatekeeper in a way,
Right.
To say, hey, I would not file a claim. You can do it right up front, so that way it's not going to hit their record. Them talking through with you first before they do anything. That's huge.
Especially those scenarios where it's a small amount of damage. They might not know what their deductible is or remember.
Exactly.
Because who remembers what their deductible is? A home policy they purchased 2 or 3 or 5 years ago.
Right.
That's 100% what our goal is, to advise them and give them more information before that claim is processed and started.
Awesome.
And I know we're huge on communication. Can you share?
Oh, absolutely. And that's the other thing too, working with a local agent. You're not dealing, well, first of all, you're not dealing with a time zone challenge right there. So there's that. The other piece is somebody like you're willing to set up one-on-one appointments and meet in person. Some people are still old-fashioned that way. They still want to meet somebody in person. They want to place, especially something as important as insurance, they want to place a face with a voice and an email. So you're willing to do that. You've always been super good, whether it's you or whether it's one of your office people texting me or calling me.
Yep.
I mean, all of your people, they know who I am when I call, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
Because they've seen me enough. They've seen enough of my request to know who I am.
Yep.
Even though I don't think I've met everybody in person in your office. But that's a good feeling,
I would love to touch on that. So that's one of the things that we really try to prescribe to being local, is that we want to be on a first name basis with you. We don't want to have to grill you for your social, your policy number, or something when you need us.
Yeah.
But we want to be on a first name basis so that you know who you're speaking with and we have a relationship with you.
Right.
Like you talked about, we're going to be in the same time zone, so we're going to be available the same hours that you are.
Right.
You can call us, text us, email, come in person. I know I look like I'm 21, but I'm a little old school myself, and I actually would prefer an in-person, face-to-face appointment.
Right.
Because there's so much that can be lost on the phone or virtually, that this is a big deal.
Yeah.
When you have a $4 or $5 or $6 or $1 million home, and you have a claim and it's on fire, you want to know what kind of coverage you have and that you're going to be protected,
Right.
and someone that's going to be there to
Yeah.
walk you through it and hold your hand and guide you through that process.
Yeah.
I think that local aspect doesn't get enough attention and consideration when people are looking. They're just trying to check the box, but come claim time or question or concern time, it's going to be the difference between something very smooth or as smooth as possible versus something that's going to be very painful.
And I've noticed on my side of things, being on the lender's side, it's usually getting the cheapest quote. But I mean, why would you get what you pay for, right? So
Absolutely.
you would want somebody to educate you through that process. Here's the coverage, and you might be paying slightly more. And I'm not saying that's in your case, but slightly more, but I want to know what coverage I'm getting. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know what my coverage is. It's
Right.
kind of like, oh, again, check the box. And so I think it is very important to make sure that you're making those decisions. And am I covered in all areas as far as, because now you're buying a house, right? Even if you're a first-time home buyer or, you know, buying another home, you want to make sure that your family's secured for, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Go ahead.
I'd love to touch on that. So that is the thing that I would say our office is most passionate about is education.
Right.
There's so much information out there about insurance. Nobody knows it all, especially a consumer buying a home. That's not their job to know insurance.
Right.
That's our job. But our job is to educate them and tell them what is covered, what isn't covered, what's optional, and let them pick and choose from the spectrum of, you know, do you need it as most affordable and lowest price as possible because of your situation? Or do you want to pay a little extra and have as many optional coverages or have, you know, the Cadillac of coverages to make sure no matter what happens, you're covered.
Right.
And that's
Huge.
that's what we want to walk people through and let them know that that yes, there's sometimes a time and a place for the least expensive, and that can still be us.
Right.
If that's what you need, but there's also can be a time and a place for some people who want to choose to, maybe it is pay 10 or 20 bucks more a month to have more protection when they do.
Right.
have a
Yeah.
claim.
Yeah.
Or having that conversation as far as life insurance goes, because now you have a mortgage, and to
Right.
cover your family if for some reason, you know, an accident happens or a passing, you know, you're covered in that. So
That's the original GoFundMe.
yeah,
You know,
right.
I mean, we see the GoFundMe. We see the GoFundMes on
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah,
and social
right,
media all
right,
the time.
yeah.
And it's really sad and
Yeah.
unfortunate.
I know I shouldn't be laughing.
No, but it's true. Like it is. Life insurance is the original GoFundMe.
Right.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
a big deal when a family takes out a $400,000 or $500,000 mortgage. Most families I know in my family, we're relying on each other to pay those bills.
Right.
And if something happened to one of us, that's going to put us in a world of hurt. And at a time, I don't think someone wants to move their family out of their home.
Right. Exactly.
Or sell it for pennies on the dollar because they've got to get out from that
Right.
payment. And then more discounts. You know, the more
Right.
things they bundle together, they get more discounts.
That's good. That's
Everything's
good.
less expensive.
Well, and it kind of goes along the lines. You probably heard this term early in your career. I used to hear it from bosses, where bosses would say to us as loan officers, managers would train us to say, "Are you a lending professional, or are you an order taker?"
Yeah.
And in the simplest terms, I think when you're dealing with these 1-800 places with insurance, you're dealing with order takers.
Yeah, 100%.
And as a consumer, do you want an order taker, you know, protecting you with your insurance, or do you want a professional who's there to offer you all the options, the education? Even if it's a little bit more premium, me personally, I would go with the latter of the two.
Yeah,
agree.
I think that's true in many aspects of our lives. If it's our financial planning, if it's our mortgage, if it's our real estate agent, if it's insurance, these are things that we don't do every day, top of mind a million times as a
Right.
consumer. And so
Yeah.
I lean on those trusted professionals that do that professionally to tell me, you don't want this house because it backs up to a certain wetland or something where you're gonna have
Yeah.
mosquitoes or whatever
Right.
that case may be. Someone that's an expert in their field to advise us why we're making or not making a big decision on a big purchase.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, that's good information. Any other questions you have for him?
Well, where can people find you?
Yeah, that's a great question. You can find us many ways. JaymeMercer.com. That's Jayme, so a little unique. Or our phone number is 360-816-8425. You can call or text that.
Phone number's here. And then any lending related questions or other questions, here's my number. There's her number, our email address. And other than that, if you felt this is beneficial, please like and subscribe to our page. And we do greatly appreciate you joining us today.
Appreciate
Yes,
the
thank you
opportunity.
so much.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you.
All right,
Awesome. Have a good day.
bye.
Bye, everybody.